House passes bill to force TikTok sale from Chinese owner or ban the app. The legislation received wide bipartisan support, with both Republicans and Democrats showing an eagerness to appear tough on China. So it was, what did it bill? It passed 352 to 65, massively bipartisan. And what we're seeing right now is a divided punditry class on social media. I believe Sagar and Jetty had the best response to this. And he said, it's very simple. We are not allowed to do business in China. Why are they allowed to do business here? Simple question. He gave a much more deep and thorough explanation than just that, but I think he made probably the best point in all of this. However, what I see from most people, Tucker Carlson making the point that they could just ban anything. You've got Michael Tracy arguing that it could ban a website, a desktop application, mobile application, augmented or immersive technology. I got to tell you, this one really, really bothered me. By all means, if you think the bill should not pass because TikTok should be freely allowed to operate their algorithms in the United States, affecting the U.S. population, fine. That's your opinion. Say it. Great. I disagree. I think it is a serious issue when a foreign adversary, namely China, is manipulating the algorithm so the likes of Dylan Mulvaney become particularly prominent in American culture. Why would we allow a foreign adversary to dictate what we build in culture is insane to me. And as most of you know, I think culture, it's Andrew Breitbart said it, culture is, politics are downstream from culture. Nothing's more important. In terms of winning the political battle, you have to build the cultural base. And a Chinese application that not only is collecting our data, is going to deeply affect politics. Take a look at what just happened when they were proposing this bill. TikTok sent a notification to everyone saying, call your reps and stop them from doing this. That is an insane amount of power for a foreign adversary to have.
What's going on, everyone? Sauce Kenny here today. We're going to be analyzing the TikTok ban and why it's a good thing, bad thing, vice versa. As a nationalist, I am more inclined for the government to step in to protect us from the actions of a foreign actor, right? Like I said, the government's a referee, right? You don't want to discriminate against a team, but in general, you have to apply a general rule that both teams must apply to. So whether it's a company headquarters here in the U.S. or a foreign actor, I believe they have to abide by the same rules. The problem I have here is when you have a company that's founded on foreign soil and they have different rules compared to what the U.S. has, there's a conflict there. And in those stages of conflict, I believe the state should act in the interest of its own nation. So ByteDance, which is the majority owner in TikTok, has a 60% stake. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comment section if I am. And there's been like hearings proving that they had access to user data from China. China has access to that because end of the day, I believe for businesses to operate in China, they must have a CCP operative working in the corporate structure to oversee the business, the corporations, right? Communist Party, right? So this allows, foreign governments to essentially have direct access to our American user base. And some of the rationale for support of the bill is that, hey, look at their impressions that TikTok was able to do. Look at in the intro, you saw with Tim Pool. Tim Pool mentioned how they were able to notify all the American users to dictate what they should do to prevent certain actions in the best interest of what? China. AKA, hey, call your reps and say, don't ban TikTok. The ability to mobilize and notify users to control or influence behavior, that's a very dangerous weapon that we're allowing China to have access to. Now, you got Rand Paul, Thomas Massie, who are against this bill and saying that it's giving expanded power to the U.S. government. And I kind of agree. I don't want to give more power to the government. I understand that. And they believe in a different approach. I think Thomas Massie gave an alternative bill that could effectively do the similar thing without having to be directly targeted at TikTok, because this bill is very targeted at TikTok. Donald Trump came out against it. Let me see if I can pull it up. Donald Trump came against it. TikTok is less of a danger to the U.S. than Meta, which is a true enemy of the people. They spent $500 million against me in our great Republican Party, lockbox and all, and should never have been allowed to do so. TikTok didn't. Like crooked Joe Biden, Facebook is a great threat to democracy and it'll only get bigger and stronger if TikTok is taken out. Do them both and restrict the money allowed to be spent on politics and lock boxes by Meta and Facebook. So I agree kind of with his sentiment that, hey, you don't, like I said, the government is a referee. I don't want government making calls that will heavily sway the playing field, aka the economy, the free market. So if the government is specifically targeting a business in favor of another business stand to gain, another business is allowed to lobby the government to get those outcomes. I know Facebook lobbies a lot in the U.S. government. People can misconstrue that as, oh, Facebook just paid off the ref so it can get a favorable call that will overwhelmingly help it in the game, aka remove TikTok and where those user rates are going to go. Instagram, which is owned by who? Meta, Facebook. You see the game? So this is kind of the concerns that a lot of people are pointing out about, like, the nuances of some of the cases, how it's just not black and white. But as a nationalist, I have some concerns with a foreign company having the ability to influence the youth. I just mentioned it right here. Stand with Palestine. 285 million impressions based on the algorithm that ByteDance has told TikTok to show to its US users, to its American users. Stand with Israel only gets like 11 million impressions. That means ByteDance is allowing TikTok to push a narrative, or overwhelmingly highlighting a narrative, boosting a narrative that they want the US population to have. And this is why you see all the anti-Israel sentiments in college campuses, in young people. The Chinese kids are being conditioned to be smarter, and the American kids are conditioned to be dumb, not understanding reality, pushing bad and negative advice. Like, if you look at all the stuff that goes viral on Twitter, it's stuff from TikTok. Oh my God, they're doing all this stuff. Oh my God, I can't afford this. Oh my God, I hide a kid's gender identity from their parents. All this stuff, all this cesspool of idiocy comes from TikTok. And my question is, as a nationalist, is that by design, or it's just happenstance? But I doubt it. As evidence of this, a new Gallup poll showed that almost 30% of Gen Z women now identify as LGBT. Most are bisexual. This is not a biological bottleneck occurring in real time. This is a social contagion being promoted by apps like TikTok that presents victimhood and victim identity as some sort of positive good. Trauma dumping, all this. Like, bruh, if the claim now is that 1/3 of all Gen Z women are now either bisexual, homosexual, or gender non-binary or trans, that claim makes no biological sense. It has never made sense on any subpopulation anywhere in the world ever at any time, right? Which is some of the concerns that we have. Hey, you're pushing a narrative that is going to hurt us in the long term when it comes to replacing our own population. You're feeding these a warped sense of reality to our youth, right? Where our youth are feeding into imagination and they think they can make it reality. These are very divisive stuff being spread through it, and TikTok is used as a conduit. Now, I understand libertarians saying, oh, you can't just target one business. I understand you in principle, but in practicality, what do you expect us to do? Should we allow this company to keep doing this and influencing the pretty much the destruction of our country? Or does our country have a right to step in and protect its own best interest? I'm gonna leave it off at there. I think I gave my points very strongly in this video. In this next clip, you're gonna see Vivek kind of articulating a more nuanced approach of how we're supposed to deal with all these conflicting problems, and I tend to agree with him here. So let's take a look.
Something I did want to touch on here briefly with both of you is the TikTok ban that just passed the House. Your thoughts on it? Starting with Vivek.
Yeah. So look, my thought is TikTok has major issues. There's at least 3 categories of major issues. Number 1 is persuasion threats to the United States of America, the Chinese government or Chinese affiliated entities determining what U.S. users do or don't see. Number 2 is forced data transfers to the Chinese Communist Party from a U.S. tech company. And number 3 is addictive tendencies in kids under the age of 15. Major problems. However, I think this bill fails across the board to address those issues. It's incomplete in addressing those issues, while also creating a civil libertarian nightmare, giving to the Biden administration exclusive executive authority effectively to decide which kinds of so-called foreign adversary controlled apps or even websites are going to be shut down or not, or are going to be owned by whom. And so if you're concerned with the Biden administration engaging in backdoor censorship using tech companies to do it, I think it's a bad idea to give that Biden administration even broader executive latitude to do the same thing. If you want to address the issue, as I do favor doing, address the issue across the board. Social media in kids under the age of 16, it's an issue. Address it. Forced data transfers to the CCP. I don't like it if Google's doing it. I don't like it if Airbnb is doing it. I don't like it if TikTok is doing it. deal with it across the board rather than in a company-specific manner. And the specific manner in which this bill is written does two things. One is it's designed to exclude the very companies that have been lobbying for it. This is a Facebook lobbying bill. That's a dirty little secret in Washington, D.C. It's designed to exclude U.S. companies from being burdened. I'd say include all companies, U.S. or not, from stopping data transfers to the CCP. Look at Airbnb and what they've been doing for years. Wall Street Journal reporting a few years ago, put an end to it across the board, TikTok to Airbnb to anybody else. And the other thing is, don't give this much unfettered executive authority to a president, including currently, that would be President Biden, to even broaden the scope of using tech companies, be they Google, be they TikTok, be they Facebook, be they YouTube, to do through the back door what the government couldn't do through the front door. So that's my view.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think like a lot of the bill's problems, I think the main reason why the libertarian wing of the Republican Party is so against it is that it offers more power to the presidency at his discretion. And, you know, end of the day, it has to apply in general. Also, is doing special favors for Facebook. I think this is why Trump was heavily against it. He said this is only having Facebook, right? And yeah, like I said, the government's a referee. So that means you have to call the game evenly. You have to apply the rules evenly. And if you give special consideration for certain governments, it's not a correct bill in my eyes. Just like how Gavin Newsom raised the minimum wage but excludes certain companies from not having to abide by the minimum wage. This is the same kind of game that's being played with the TikTok ban. And based on everything I heard today, I am against the TikTok ban. I really am. I think the ideal of it is fine. Like, yes, these are the concerns, persuasive concerns. Vivek articulated why it would not really do anything against the persuasion thing. But as in data transfers and stuff, I do agree that we need to do something about these corporations being able to harvest private information from their consumers and then selling it off to China and these foreign actors that can use it for malicious reasons. The only problem I have is that TikTok has an algorithm where they're pushing one message to the Chinese audience and another message to the US audience, and that message or that algorithm change that they're doing is pushing things that's politically divisive, that's decaying and destroying our social fabric in the United States of America, that's essentially going to create instability in the future generations of this country. He who controls the youth controls the future, and I think that TikTok in of itself is the biggest concern that I have. So the only thing I can think of without violating corporations' rights to be owned or operated by foreign actors is to restrict the actions of our own citizens. And I think that's another can of worms. So there's no easy answer to this. I do know that it's a state solution. Like, this is something that the state can do something about, because private markets, like the free market capitalism, let's just free range. Capitalism is an amoral system, right? And essentially is battle of the fittest. And the fittest app, TikTok right now, which is have the overwhelmingly young audience, China has 60% control of it. So they can kind of have heavy influence of how that app is operated and leveraged in the US. And we've already seen examples that I just showed you in this video. And I think there's a big problem. But as of right now, I think we have the best thing we could do is probably create a culture where, hey, people in the US don't use apps until they're like at least 18 years old. That's the only way I can think of it from a cultural perspective. I think it's just we have to change our behavior ourselves without government involvement. That's the only viable solution I have without involving the state. But that's just some of my thoughts. What are yours in the comment section? I'll be really interested to hear some of your guys' takes about the TikTok ban. You're in support of the TikTok ban? Tell me why. You're not in the support of the TikTok ban? Tell me why. Because I'm not in support of the TikTok ban because of the fact that it's giving more power to it's shuffling its power off to someone else. Oh, here, president, you dictate who gets to own companies or who don't get to own companies. I don't like that. That's not like the Chinese government to me. I don't like that power, that expanded power in the executive office. I don't like that. I'm in favor of shrinking the government, not continually increasing the government in incremental ways. And I think we need to start going the reverse direction, because I think right now the government has too much power. Jordan Peterson warned us about the super state, which is a video that I'm going to show you right here. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'm really interested in what you guys have to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.